Tina.
Hi, Lily. How are you?
Great. Okay, today I'm going to be asking you some questions about mindfulness and meditation.
Sure. I'd love to hear them.
What is a kid's mindful moment, and how did you come up with the name?
So, a Kids Mindful Moment is on the Kids Company About app. And on there is over 30 meditations for kids. And there are meditations, abridged versions, meaning smaller lengths that are 2 to 3 minutes. And there's ones that are 10 to 15 minutes long. And we kind of came up with the name as a group because we thought life is really busy. Kids are running around from school to piano practice to karate to all the things that they're doing. And we thought we'd love for kids to pause and have a little mindful moment. And that's how we came up with the name.
Good. That's amazing. It's very cool. What inspired you to begin meditating?
So I started meditating about 18 years ago. And I was in my mid 20s at the time, and I was really stressed out. I was working really hard, and I felt a little bit of anxiety all the time. And I thought, what is going to really help me get calm and feel happy? And so I started getting into the practice of meditation, and I haven't stopped since. I think it's such a key skill and practice that is great for all ages and all kinds of people. Anybody can do it. And now I'm really an advocate, meaning I really want people to know that it's for everyone and anyone. And it's not as hard or as intimidating as some people might think.
Why do you think mindfulness and meditation are important?
Oh, that's a great question. I think they're important personally because they have helped me really get through a lot of challenging times, and they keep me calm, they keep me centered. And meditation is something, you set aside time to practice, but mindfulness is something that you can practice any minute of any day. Mindfulness is really all about being in the moment and being in the here and now. And I think once you cultivate that skill, or once you're able to do that, then you can make really, really stressful situations a lot more simpler in your mind when you can be aware of what's going on in there and kind of calm yourself down.
What 3 tips would you give a beginner interested in meditation?
That's a great question. I would say the first thing is don't expect your thoughts to stop, because a lot of people sit in meditation and they think they're going to be really peaceful and nothing is going to bother them and no thoughts are going to come through. But it's our mind's job to think thoughts. So in meditation, you want to just, I say, observe them. So it's almost like you're like the sky and your thoughts are like clouds. They're just coming, but they're also going, and to not hang on to them. So the thoughts are still going to come in meditation. I've been meditating for all these years and I still have thoughts, but that's okay. So I would say that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is to not judge your practice. So don't say, oh, that was a bad meditation because my mind was so active, or I couldn't sit still, or that was a good meditation because I felt really calm. So the fact that you're sitting and meditating is a wonderful thing. It doesn't matter. Sometimes, even for me, my mind is really active and I'm thinking about work and I'm thinking about my daughter and everything going on. And sometimes my mind is really calm. But whatever happens while I'm meditating, I try not to judge that practice. And the third thing I would say is that meditation is for everyone, and you don't have to sit in meditation for 2 hours or 1 hour or half an hour to have an impact. You can meditate for 2 minutes every morning or 30 seconds. I always tell people, start small, start with 1 minute a day. And then the next week, go to 2 minutes, and the next week, 3 minutes, and gradually build up your practice. And you will see that when you again cultivate that skill in meditation, you'll learn how to calm your mind when you're in situations where a kid is maybe bullying you, or you get a, you don't get a good test score and you're upset about it, or you're nervous about something. When you practice that skill in meditation of calming your mind, then you can start to do it when you experience things in everyday life.
Those are 3 great tips. What's the best advice you've given yourself?
The best advice I have given myself. Wow, you're asking some really good questions, Lily. I would say to never give up, because I have faced a lot of challenges in life, and sometimes it's easier to give up and it's easier to say, no, I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to go for that, next star, or I'm not going to try to make the goals because I didn't get any last time, or I'm going to quit this because I can't do it anymore and I'm not good at it. Sometimes it's easier to give up. But I've learned that if you keep persistence and you keep trying and you give it all and you give it, your heart, then you can achieve anything you put your mind to, no matter what you've been through, no matter what obstacles are in the way. So never give up, and always kind of keep that close to your heart. Even if you fail the first few times, that's okay. You just keep going.
Yeah, because those obstacles that you went through that made you want to give up, they just make you better. So,
Exactly.
do you have tips on how to think more positive? Because I can sometimes be a little bit hard on myself.
Yeah, again, a really great question. And I think adults struggle with the same thing. It's so funny because I just posted about this on Instagram today about having positive thoughts, because a study came out last year that said 80%, which means 8 out of every 10 thoughts, are said to be negative, or what we call self-deprecating, where we're kind of beating ourselves up and saying, oh, you can't do that. So sometimes the mind doesn't work for us, right? So my tip around that is awareness, which means be aware of when your mind does that. Be aware when your mind is saying, Lily, you can't do this. And when your mind does that, say, you rebuttal it and say, yes, I can, because I've done it before, because I'm a good student, because I work hard. And you kind of have a little conversation with yourself in your own mind. When your mind brings up those thoughts, say, no, 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 that's not true, because A, B, and C. And so what you do is you build up all these reasons why, because a lot of the times we're hard on ourselves, and we're much harder on ourselves than anybody else around us, right? So the thoughts you think about yourself is not something your mom would ever say to you, right? Or a parent who loves you would ever say to you, or an adult or grown up who cares about you, or a good friend or a sibling. Often we're the hardest on ourselves. So when we have these thoughts that come up, I always say awareness, be aware of them, and then switch the thought and say, no, I actually can do it, and here's why. Sometimes I tell my adult clients, in my workshops, I get them to make a list. I pause and I say, everybody get their journals out, and I want you to write down all the negative thoughts that you think about yourself, because sometimes when we write them down, we can actually see, oh my gosh, these are really bad and they're not even true. And it makes it a little easier to realize that these thoughts are just thoughts. They're not actually even real, and they're not actually even true about me.
Yeah. So, my other question is, if you're upset, you personally, like, would you write it down in a journal or paint it out or like draw it, or you would talk to somebody about
Ooh, I do a number of different things, and it really depends on how upset I am and what I'm upset about. But I could either go for a walk, do something physical if I'm upset. I could writing it down in a journal. Our book has 120 tips on how to be more calm and happy, and one of them is called "Do the Mind Dump," which means take everything in your mind and just dump it out and just write it out and write it out and write it out without overthinking anything or analyzing anything. So sometimes I do that. I journal and I mind dump. I just take it all out and put it on paper, and then you can rip the paper up after, and it's almost like a good release. Or I talk to people. I love talking to people really close to me. I feel like it's a really good way to get things off your chest. And every day my daughter comes home and we talk about, what are the good things that happened? What are the things that upset you? And she talks it out and we come up with solutions. And I think that's a really healthy way as well to deal with it when challenging things come up. And those are three common things that I do.
Yeah, I do that too. So like when I'm upset, sometimes I go into like my favorite hiding spot so I could just like chill and just relax and read, because sometimes like I get so overwhelmed that I just go crazy and take it out on the wrong people. So I just go into this like spot in my closet that I just like chill, and has this space where there's books, and I leave a flashlight in there so I can like see better. Like when I close the door, it's not pitch black. So then I write down my feelings in this notebook that I really like, and then I just put it in there, and I love it.
I love that. That's such a great idea. And how do you feel after you do that? After you write it out or read, how do you feel when you come out of that closet?
After I come out of it, I feel way better. I feel like totally chill and calm down.
That's so great. I think you should write a book about how to get calm for kids.
Thank you, Nina, for taking your all your time to answer my questions, and your answers were amazing and super helpful.
Well, you asked incredible questions, and I get interviewed a lot by adults, and I often don't get thrown off, but you threw me off with some of your amazing questions. They were just that good. I had to think about the answer. So thank you so much. And I love that you are interested in mindfulness and meditation. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out anytime. But I so appreciate your time as well and all of your interest in this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lily.